On September 16, 1620, a group of Puritans left England, seeking their right to practice religion undisturbed. What they found when they arrived in Plymouth was much greater, however. They found a divine right, a right that allowed them to deny the rights of anyone or anything that got in their way, a divine right to demolish an entire culture, and gave them the power to fight their British oppressors and establish this one nation under God, with liberty and justice for all, except, of course, for those who we stole the land from in the first place. The genocide of the Native American was a slow process, but an effective one nonetheless. It happened in different tiers, the first being expansion, and what was really smart about this segment was the colonists would continue to occupy plots of Native American land, and if the Native Americans were to get upset and fight back, the colonists would document it as massacre of the settlers, thus internalizing these ideas of the Native American being a savage beast for generations to come, which dehumanizes them, making it easier for them to expand without internal resistance from fellow colonists. The way the United States used this divine right to expand has to do with an inverse relationship of power between the two nations. When it comes to the switch of population and land, the Cherokee is a great example. Originally a disorganized band of hunter-gatherer tribes, the Cherokee turned themselves into a strong national political state, with a native alphabet and a written constitution in order to conform to the changing expansionist agenda. John Ridges was born into the Cherokee Nation. He fought American frontiersmen in battle and later became distinguished lawmaker and a very important representative of the Cherokee. He was also an ally to President Andrew Jackson in the Creek and Seminole Wars. Unfortunately for the Cherokee people in Major Ridge, the expanding country had no room for allies. So 10 years later, after a series of court cases, President Jackson passed the Indian Removal Act of 1930, sending Ridge and the Cherokees on the Trail of Tears, a 1,200-mile trip west that killed a quarter of their population. The relationship between population and land is very clear, but the relationship between culture and money is a bit more complicated. In order to fully understand this relationship, let me review a few plans the United States government had implemented in order to eliminate the Native American culture. There were several Indian boarding schools that were established for the sole purpose of assimilating the Native American into the Anglo-Saxon image. There was also the Blood Quantum Laws, enabled by the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934. This act tested Native Americans' authenticity. Most people would fail these tests and be denied the rights and benefits given to the Native Americans, and that's using the term benefits lightly. The third would be the Dawes Act that granted excess native land to non-Indians for cheap to no cost. This would further shrink their population and culture. Several examples are applicable to the culture-money relationship, but the most important examples have to do with our modern media. The Hollywood industry is an excellent example of internalized stereotypes of the Native Americans. The Western cowboy and Indian genre exploited stereotypes for the purpose of profit. These movies would be commonly watched by families. The kids would go home and reenact these movies playing cowboys and Indians, mocking one of the most horrific genocides of all times. Then, they would pass on these internalized stereotypes, and the message of Native American subordination became gradually subliminal, and now we hardly ever think of them. Although we have disestablished the national church from our government a very long time ago, this idea of a divine right still lives with us today, and is the foundation of our nationalism. It has previously and will continue to oppress the Native Americans unless we do something about it.